podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Olin Gaunt here, purveyor of esoteric books dealing with the deepest of dark matters. I have collected books and secrets from this, our world, before your parents were even born. I dare say that I have become what you might refer to as the prime source for the rarest and most deliciously dark tomes of arcane knowledge. My travels have crossed thousands of miles and back again, spanning decades and employing the greatest book thieves in all the realms. What I have for you this superbly dreary eve is a collection of these very same books. I believe it is what you more simple folk might call a bundle. We have all seen these collections to be sure, and most have partaken on their dark knowledge. But what I have for you today is of a decidedly different nature. These 8 books, 7 of which are entirely brand new and never seen anywhere, have been made available to me through means by which I dare not share the source of, but can share the content with you, if you dare. These 8 books, 7 never seen before, available to the true connoisseur of dark adventures, at a price that will rise considerably in a mere 30 days from now. These books, designed to be for the very beginner and reaching far into the advanced levels, can also be read, played, and enjoyed completely separate from each other. Like most things that determine our fates, it is all your own choice. This massive collection spans hundreds of pages and, if you should wish to venture, also allows you the opportunity to recover multiple maps, and even the secrets to creating these maps as well. Over 30 artists' work have been used to aid in the storytelling portrayed within these dark pages, and there are even full-page handouts your puppets can view while you terrorize them with these dark delights. There is one thing, and I will mention it again, despite the redundancy. You may have the opportunity to see these books again somewhere along your travels, but I promise you that you will never get a better bargain on them again. I assure you that all of the curses, spells and traps have been removed permanently from this collection. In a word, it is indeed safe. Safe to enjoy and view and play to your pitiful puppets. And just in time for the brand new year. This is Olin Gaunt, bidding you farewell for now. If you should be so bold as to ask for my knowledge, you may do so, and entirely for free. I look forward to scaring you. Best of wishes.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is a story of Pathfinder RPG Dark Fantasies Adventures collected levels 1 through 14 that's currently on Kickstarter, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on the creator mastermind behind these great adventures, Matt. Is that correct, Matt? Is that how you fall in line with these new adventures?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. We really appreciate it, Matt.
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem at all. We like to interview people. I've been doing it for just over a year now, and I want to say over 150. I'd have to go back and look, but it's a crazy amount. Actually, I could probably tell you really quick. Let's see here. Yeah, well, no, close. I guess not. Yeah, it's probably right around 150 because some of them haven't been Kickstarter creators or whatnot, having projects. So the last episode I released was episode 147, which was for a Kickstarter creation, and 148 comes out tomorrow morning. So yeah, it's just crazy, and I love to interview people. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Now, before we get into it, Matt, before we get into why you came here, let's rewind a little bit if we could. We don't have to go back too terribly far, of course, unless you were born into RPGs and whatnot. But how did you get started into playing role-playing games and whatnot?
Oh, that's my favorite question, man. That's an excellent question. In 1980, my family moved from Louisiana to Dunwoody, Georgia, which is basically a part of Atlanta. And it was like, I think the next day that we were moved in, and it was snowing in March. And this little dude comes out of nowhere. I'm not even making this up. His name is Todd. I'm very good friends with him to this day. And he comes up to us and he just starts talking to us and welcoming us. And the next thing you know, we're talking about this weird game that he's mentioning called Dungeons and Dragons, if I could say that.
Okay.
And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so, long story short, once my family got settled in, I was 10 years old at the time in 1980. I don't know the exact amount of time that passed, but once we got settled in, which I think was fairly quick, my friend Todd, who lived 2 houses down from me, was coming over, and he introduced me and my brother to Dungeons and Dragons. And I believe it was, I don't know the exact set it was, to be honest. And I don't know the exact order of the modules that we played, but in a very short period of time, he encapsulated everything like a pure genius. He taught us how to do something that I wasn't really geared towards. I was more like a little baseball player, kid that had no idea what this role playing stuff was. But it clicked with me. It clicked with the artistic aspect. I loved the black and white interior artwork. I loved the writing, the samples of the DM talking and then the players talking. It was like a brand new world to me, and something just really, really, really clicked on every creative level. And I thought to myself, I'm looking at all these maps, which is like a graphic design oriented artwork in and of itself. And I was looking at this artwork, which is, illustration. And I was looking at all this writing. I saw these aspects of things that I found out I really, really loved. It just really took off. So we started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and not in any particular order. Boot Hill, Car Wars, Rune Quest, Chill, a little bit of Traveler. That's the only game that I didn't really, for some reason, I don't know why I didn't adhere to that one, but instead I liked Star Frontiers, Gamma World, Top Secret. I mean, every day after school, my friend Todd and my brother Paul and myself and another guy named David would play almost every single day. Then we'd spend the night at each other's houses and create these adventures. And then we'd switch off. Todd would DM. Then the next day I would DM for the next campaign, et cetera, et cetera. And it just took off. It was like an addiction.
So that's really cool. That's almost like, kind of reminds me of Stranger Things a little bit. Did you watch that at all?
No, but I saw. The only thing I know about Stranger Things is there's a cover art for this Ouija board game, and the main character, I guess, is kind of like an Indiana Jones-ish kind of looking guy. Maybe I'm wrong. Is that what Is that what you mean?
Well, Stranger Things, it's new. Well, not new anymore necessarily, but show that they have on the Netflix that is a bunch of kids from the 80s that get together and play Dungeons and Dragons or whatnot.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even know. I got to check into that. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's really cool. We really enjoyed it. Well, I at least really enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't think my wife ever watched it, but yeah, it reminded me a lot of my childhood and whatnot. So it was a pretty cool show.
Oh, that's awesome. So were you a role-playing game aficionado too in the 80s?
Well, no, I ended up. It was in the late '90s. My friends got me into it. They started playing Middle Earth role playing, Red Book, modeled after Tolkien's adventures or whatnot, and it was pretty cool. We'd sit around a sewer pipe for hours, just outside in a circle. We lived in a circle subdivision, and we'd sit there in the circle in the middle of the road and just play and around a sewer lid. It was kind of fun.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff we would do. We would sit on our front porch, brick porch, and we'd call it the D&D bench, and we'd play out there during the day. And we'd come in, and my parents would make some pizza or whatever, and then we'd play all night long. I think that's where I cultivated my my night owl tendencies, which actually serves me very well for getting a lot of work done. So.
Well, there you go. So there you have it. That's awesome. So, do you just play role playing games, or do you do any tabletop board games, or is it just all RPGs for you?
Actually, I mean, me doing all this stuff, like I conceive all of the ideas, and it's kind of like this massive soup that I do all of the sketches, the maps, and then the writing, and then I literally, I'm not going to sit here and say that the stuff that goes to publication is actually all done by me because I do purchase some stock art, but I do writing, I do my own maps, maybe not every single one of them, but in probably 90+% of them at least. And a lot of, not, I do use a lot of stock art. Artwork takes the longest amount of time. I think anybody would actually say that, unless you just slop it all down. So, in other words, I have so many things that I'm doing that I really don't even have time to actually play the game. But I will say this, one of the things that I do is I have all, not every single one, I have a vast majority of the Pathfinder hardcover books, and I do some online research, anything to do with Pathfinder and stuff like that. Plus, I started purchasing, since some of my future projects are going to be D&D 5e, I just got what's that thing called? Tales from the something portal or something, and the Curse of Strahd. I got those two hardcovers recently. So what I do is I just devour them and kind of immerse myself in uh, the mood, atmosphere, and tone of the D&D, and then I switch over from Pathfinder and all that. So in other words, I just don't have any time to actually play. If I'm going to get all this stuff done and make some type of a living doing it, um, I just don't even have any time. I don't have any wife or kids. And I think having a wife and kids is awesome. It's something I'd love to have one day, but I could see that it takes up a lot of time. And I'm not saying I'm willing to forsake those two things that I mentioned by any means, but right now I think things are working out the way that they're supposed to, and I still got a lot of work to do before I kind of settle down.
Yeah, speaking of all this creating and whatnot, Matt, word on the street is you have a new thing on Kickstarter called Pathfinder RPG Dark Fantasy Adventures Collected, levels 1 through 14. What can you tell us about these new adventures, Matt?
Okay, that's a great question. This is a compilation of 7 core adventures that start off Pathfinder role playing game players from levels 1 through 14. And it's broken up. You start off in an adventure called Escape from Skullkeep Prison. And what the players are supposed to do is they're supposed to break in and kind of reclaim the sheriff's crazy brother. And in doing so, there's a lot of crazy things going on, and it's 3 levels, and it's just the prison is basically run by a complete madman. He's like a one of those weirdos who would probably be running one of those weird, I don't even know if they're fictional or real, those hostels that was made famous by that dude who made that movie Hostel, that kind of get off on torture and killing people indiscriminately and without, a real, truly good reason for doing so. And he's got a bunch of weirdo executioner friends and torturer friends. And it just is the whole 7 adventures touches on darker stuff. And it's not pitch black. I don't want to go that far. I just want it to be darkly tinged and not like all cheery and fairies. There's nothing wrong with fairies at all, but it's just completely, it does have its moments of humor, but it's kind of like dark humor. And so basically it goes from that, and then it goes to, from the first adventure, it goes to Escape the Lair, which it started off as just 4 massive rooms, and then it turned into this big 70 page adventure that was originally slated to be 48 pages. And so it ended up to being 70 actual content pages. And it's basically about a lich that um, is trying his best to create new ways. He's like a genius lich in that he doesn't like to think conventionally, if you can even say that. He's trying to create even more powerful and stronger forms of undead, and anything that a mage or a sorcerer or a necromancer can create. His main goal is to make these things slowly and progressively stronger. And he's kind of like this James Bond villain that you never really see, because in this adventure, it's for character levels 3 through 4. And obviously, you're not going to have a little dude or even a party as strong as they might be, levels 3 to 4, tackling a lich. So he's basically imparting his evil in a variety of different ways, like illusions and creepy messages that appear in front of people's faces and parting messages. And he kind of shows his true madness, that he's not even scratching the surface. And what I meant by the James Bond thing is, people that are kind of into what I'm writing and they saw this was my biggest seller, by the way, because it's out in the marketplace. And I don't remember exactly how many copies, but compared to the other ones, individually it did fairly well. And you never really meet Danzibus, which is the lich, but he hints that he's going to see you again in the near future. And in this whole compilation, you'll never see him again, but there may be some mention of him because he's that important. But then it goes to the third adventure, is called Slaughterhouse of the Ogre Mage. And it's basically about an ogre mage who polymorphs, and he sells tainted meat to the town. And the tainted meat also happens to be from things I can't really say. And it's kind of a behind the scenes cure, is how he's making his racket. And he's just another total wacko. And the adventure begins in a slaughterhouse, and it's surrounded by alligators. Again, kind of like a James Bond villain reference. I think from Live and Let Die, there was a compound surrounded by alligators. And again, this is another dark adventure. And I wouldn't recommend any of these for like 10-year-olds necessarily. I'm sure that they're stronger and more sturdier than I was back then, but still, I got to put that out there because it is darkly tinged adventures. And again, not pitch black, but no really sunshiny happiness going on with this stuff.
For sure. Yeah, we appreciate that disclaimer. I'm not sure if it's the case or not, but when you talk about them and when I'm perusing on the Kickstarter page, I want to say it reminds me of maybe like fantasy mixed with one of those 80s B horror films. Is that a good indication or not?
Yeah, actually, that's a kind of really cool. I would say that, and a tiny bit of twinge of grindhouse, if you want to say that. Granted, that's an excellent perception, but again, it is all fantasy, hard fantasy, and it doesn't get into laser beams or machine guns or anything like that. But that's a very good way to explain. I agree totally, because I think that the hardcore um, time when I was introduced to all this stuff was from 1980 to 1985. And then after that, it tailed off, and I kept up with it, but I stopped playing for a wide variety of reasons. But yeah, you could say that. I think when you're creating stuff, even on an amateur level, back between the ages of 10 to 15, you're heavily, heavily, heavily influenced by all the other, artistic stuff that's going on, like movies and stuff like that. So yeah, it runs the gamut. Each one of these 7 adventures is vastly different. And I will say this, I'm very, very grateful to some of the people that actually, believe it or not, reach out to me via email, and they say certain aspects that they like this, and they ask me a question. And a lot of times people will get involved that are just kind of supporters of what I'm doing and backers. And next thing you know, even though it's not a continuous everyday basis because I wouldn't get anything done. But I'm working behind the scenes with a lot of people that are just offering their really cool ideas and services that will get a credit. And I will say this, I'll be very honest. I don't know his name offhand because I just spoke to him a couple of times. He's my newest new friend, and he's going to help me tie these 7 together. So at the very end of this compilation, which could be either a hardcover book, soft cover book, or just one massive PDF, so that it makes sense, so that they all tie together and lead up to a grand finale, which is about devils and demons, which is adventure number 7. So,
Well, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Yeah, so they'll lead together and stuff. So at current time, they don't tie together. Is that right?
well, that's an excellent question. It's a fair question. Not, I would have to say no because I was juggling the idea of doing that, but then I was like, well, when I put this out in the marketplace as an individual adventure, people are going to get confused if they don't get number 2. I mean, I know it's probably a good marketing strategy to do that. I mean, it's me who's looking more like the idiot, most definitely. But it just didn't seem to be appropriate at the time. But this guy kind of shook me up and reminded me very, very nicely. It was more like a very nice question. He was like, dude, maybe you should do this. I was like, that was originally my intention, but then I veered off and got back on. So I'm doing it now without question. And it'll be kind of towards the end, uh, at least tentatively. I still got to be communicating with this guy. I'm sure he's got some really great ideas. He sounds like a really smart guy, but I'm sure everything will work out great.
Well, that's pretty cool. So, per se, somebody else is listening and stuff, and they've already checked out your campaign or whatnot, and they have ideas to offer. How do they reach out to you via email, Matt?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Well, on my Kickstarter page, I don't say this on every single update, but people that have been paying very close attention know that I thank them pretty much very, very often. And I say, if y'all ever have any type of ideas or suggestions or constructive criticism, please let me know. And I'll definitely, as soon as I can, as soon as I'm awake and around, I'll get to it immediately. Um, and I'm being led to believe, based on some of the comments and the backing support, that things are going fairly well. So,
Well, that's good. So, now this all sounds great and grand to me. Now, per se, somebody's falling asleep, though, Matt. It wouldn't be because of you or the great adventures that you have going on. It'd be because of me and my podcast. Since the first of the year, we've already had 101 episodes out, so they get a little tired of hearing me drone on and on sometimes, and so they fall asleep. But they're suddenly jolted awake, Matt. So they don't hit the oncoming traffic. And now that you have their full attention, why should they take a chance on Pathfinder RPG Dark Fantasy Adventures collected levels 1 through 14, especially with all of the other great adventures and tabletop board games and role playing games and all that other fun stuff that is on the Kickstarters currently?
well, that's a great question. Another is a borderline tough question, but a very fair question. That is this: I am extremely quality driven. I used to be an art director. And if you put something out in the commercial world, I used to do a lot of work for Russell Corporation, and Gildan, and ultimately a ton of my stuff was in stores. You cannot cut corners. And I'm not going to sit here and pick on anybody by any means, because quite frankly, I don't get off on seeing another creator ever get knocked down or get even a 3-star review. I feel absolutely horrible and terrible, and I just don't even want to watch it or read it. I want everybody to succeed. But I have a theory that perhaps sometimes out of these people's hands and out of their control is they're forced to cut corners, maybe, um, because they come across as extremely talented and intelligent people, but I've been fortunate in that my first audience was so understanding, and things took a little bit longer than I thought, but their understanding with my communication with them that I do not cut corners no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I don't have any true commitments that I could literally drop what I'm doing and run to those commitments. I don't even have any of those commitments. So I'm kind of fortunate in that area that it's not even really even an option to cut corners because I don't even have any partners. So that's another plus for me. I have freelancers, of course, and one of the things I do is the day I get my money, I pay them. You can ask them day one, and so they're right on the case. But I don't cut corners, and I put in everything I got. In saying all that, I think that in the near future and in the long term, I'm not going to dare say how many years, but several years. I think that people will see the progression of my work get better and better, and the ideas and concepts get better and better and better because I get this set of lucky breaks, so to speak, um, that I could just, I don't have a partner. I'm not answering to another publisher. I'm doing 3 or 4 different tasks pretty much myself. And I don't have a 9 to 5 job. So this is more or less, I'm not living in a mansion by any means, but I've got a lot of time to put in and get a lot of work done. And all of that is everything that I do. And I'm not talking about if I'm going on a date with a girl or anything. I'm not going to be thinking about this stuff. But everything I do, even if I'm going swimming or for a walk or riding, I'm telling you, I'm either listening to some kind of a story on YouTube to get ideas, or I'm actually hiking and walking. And then when I'm done, I'm sending it to my inbox and I'm getting to work. Everything that I'm doing is indicative of me being fully invested in this. And I want someday to people to go, wow, I remember when he started, his stuff was really cool. And he's actually a pretty darn good dude that stuck to his word. And his stuff actually got better and better and better. So my long winded answer is summed up in saying the qual the I put my heart and the soul into all this stuff. And I think that the people that are truly have some semblance of intuition and have played this game before or games know that. And I'm not talking about people that have got axe to grinds and all that stuff. That's pretty much a useless direction to ever take. But the vast majority of people can actually tell that I really love doing this. And I think that I love seeing an independent creator's stuff probably more so than a big company nowadays, at least. And I think it's just kind of the little bit of idiosyncrasies and perhaps the little weird things that would never be put through a major company, and the little tiny bits of black humor that people will spot and see from me specifically and go, that's definitely him. And I like his stuff. So hopefully that makes some sense.
For sure, yeah. So you're not going to get a book with a bunch of corners torn off of it. He doesn't cut corners, and yeah, it just looks like you put your heart and soul in it or whatnot. And yeah, so definitely, if anybody's listening, go ahead and check out the Kickstarter page at the very least, or we'll make sure we leave links in the show notes and look at some of the artwork and some of the stories. I loved it when you talked about what was it the the slaughterhouse of the org mage where he's given the city's tainted meat or whatnot.
Yeah. And he's actually offering, it's behind the scenes, just as a color tale to drag the people in to go, this dude's a real bleepity bleep. Let's go take him out. And your mission is basically, it opens up with a player handout, which is a bounty hunter handout, which basically says, let's bump this dude off because he's basically providing an antidote behind the scenes for this tainted meat just so he can continue his sick, gross operation where, again, behind the scenes, he's just laughing with all of his little ogre mage buddies, making a living through killing people and chopping them up for meat. I hope that isn't too frightening. But
Oh no, yeah, like you said, it's dark, but not too dark. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, just even the I want to say I don't remember if when we were talking about like your last campaign or whatnot, if that dealt with it. I want to say that sounds vaguely familiar when we were that particular one.
Oh, this whole thing was two different campaigns, and this is why it's such a guaranteed thing. Is this my first Kickstarter campaign? Was this, but its intention was to provide these 7 adventures completely separate. Now, this new caveat, which I really kind of was like hesitant in doing, but I did get a couple few people, maybe a little bit more than that, that asked me, "Are you going to put this into blankety blank or hardcover or a collected, whatever?" And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be doing this for any type that passes for making a living, I have to capitalize on my opportunities. So, long story short, this is the exact first one, but it's compiling all that into a big 500-page campaign without missing anything. And I'm thankful to this dude who came out of nowhere, and he basically said, very nicely, of course, which I appreciate because I've heard some other things too. Um, that hey man, maybe you should put something a little bit more tangible that strings these all together. And I was like, you know what, dude, that sounds like a really good idea because I mean, as a creator, you're all over the place. And oh, I found his name. His name's Scott Nerney, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from him. And his name will be in the credits, and he's going to help me tie all these things together. It's not like I need help, but I will always accept a person that is willing to offer any ideas or suggestions, and their enthusiasm is obvious. I mean, it's just literally palpable. He's very controlled and together dude, but he's going to help me do this. And there are other people that are helping me out with other projects. And it's really quite amazing. Unfortunately, I can't get to all those people every day or every week, and I know they're chomping at the bit. Um, but hopefully, I can get to them as soon as possible. My number one mission right now is to finish issue number 4, which is called The Pine Barrens, which is an adventure for characters levels 7 through 8. And it was originally slated to be 56 pages. I'm still working on, like I said, copying and pasting and putting in the spot art and making everything perfect so it doesn't look like some little cobbler put it together. Uh, what I have been noticing, and other people have very nicely pointed out to me, they've been very understanding, is my adventures have gone from being a certain page count, and they've become almost an extra adventure in every one. As a matter of fact, I'll go back really, really quick. The Skull Keep Prison, number 1, was supposed to be 56 pages, and it turned out to be 91. Okay, that's a lot of extra work. And the reason why I did it is not out of insecurity. I did it because I truly believed, as like a maybe a director, that I had to put this stuff in there. And I was communicative with my people, and they were awesome. Bless their hearts. I love them. And then you can't, I was just blessed that I have these awesome people that I can't even put it into words. I would just so understand. That means the world to me. So then the second one was supposed to be 48 pages. That turned into being 74, 70 of actual content. Then the third one was pretty close to the mark. It was supposed to be 64, and it turned into being 72. And now this one that I'm working on right now is supposed to be 56. And I'll be honest, I'm still not even 100% sure how many pages, but it might be close to 90. But I did make a promise because some people were like, very nicely, they weren't threatening or being jerks to me. They're very cool. They were like, I'm just checking in and see the ETI on blankety blank. And then he pointed out a couple things, and I kind of made a promise, and I'm going to stick to it, that I cannot be adding all these extra pages. One, it's taking longer than expected. And two, since this is geared for print, both soft cover and hardcover, it doesn't take a genius to know that if you greatly go nuts with your page count in print, you're going to be losing money with every grouping, 20 or so pages, whatever it is. And so I'm tempered in that way. So once I get this done and out of the way, these other three are going to fly by like you wouldn't believe. So that's basically my main mission right now. I've got another big project that I've got 8 freelancers working on. It's called The Book of Dark Secrets. It's 2 books in one. And yeah, you helped me out with that on the other one. I appreciate you. Yeah, I got some good some nice backers from you.
That's always nice to hear. I never know if people are going into backing the projects or whatnot. So that's awesome to hear.
Oh yeah. And like I said, so mission number 1 is get this 4th one done. And I'm telling you, I made a massive 6 posts back to back that explains basically this is the story. And you can't really argue. You could see with your own eyes the maps are done, the artwork's done, screenshots of the writing. After I get this one done, which is the 4th one, the Pine Barrens, it's gonna go quicker than you would ever believe. So that's mission number 1, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, there you go. So I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I know you're still working on it, but when might they anticipate, if they go ahead and back this? When might they anticipate getting their finished book and whatnot?
Excellent question. And again, this nice gentleman that his name's John Bolin, that I kind of made a behind the scenes promise to, and then a public promise. He was very professional. I mean, how can you argue with that? And he basically got me back on track and asked me very, very nicely. And I said, dude, no later than the end of September will all the digital stuff be in your hands, and then the print at the end of October at the latest. And the worst case scenario is this: I've already made more than enough money. I mean, it's not a king's ransom. I've done almost zero advertising on this whatsoever. I just wanted to get enough money truly so that I could pay an industry professional. And I think that people that hear this name will know exactly what I'm talking about. The dude is incredibly prolific. I'm going to get with him. I haven't even run this by him, but I've worked on projects with him before. Rick Hershey, I'll tell you this: every single thing that I do in terms of layout, I use his templates. They're so perfect. Like I said, I was a graphic designer, art director since '92. His work, his PDFs, or not his PDFs, his Adobe InDesign files are perfect. So there's not going to be any problems. He's already explained enough to me how to lay things out with just his template. So what I'm doing is really taking nothing extra, and there's not going to be a massive, massive learning curve. And there's not going to be a lot of rejections with the printing process. So I could give you a very accurate estimate as being October, the end of October of this year, with the big old 500-page hardcover in your hands. So, it might be a day or two early or late. I have no idea. Independent creators, and me especially, I'm not going to cut corners of. It's not going to happen. At the same time, I'm going to work my tail off to get this thing done and honor my promise. And I know Kickstarter, thankfully, is more of a close approximation as opposed to a drop dead, you do this or we're going to string you up type thing. So that's eye-poppingly refreshing for me. So, but like I said, end of September and end of October. And like I said, if I can get this thing done quicker, I'll do it.
That's awesome. So yeah, at least like I said to everybody else, we'll leave all the links in the show notes. So definitely, if nothing else, at least go check out the Kickstarter page with those links, so you don't have to type everything in. You can just click on the links and you'll be led right there. Now, I don't know if you've listened. Well, I know you haven't listened because you've been too busy writing this to be able to listen to any of our podcasts, and that's okay, Matt. But the next portion of the podcast is actually called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, even a video game. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be related to role-playing games or anything like that. Is there an app you use a lot of that we can talk about for a moment? It could be anything as simple as where you're writing all this in some kind of app or anything.
Oh, that's an awesome question, man. I totally appreciate that. You're going to laugh at the simplicity of this. And I'm telling you, if I could take a screenshot right now, I'm looking at it right now. I've got 367 notes. It's called Notes. It's a simple built-in program that,
Oh wow, the Apple app that you write in the notes.
yeah, man. Here's the thing. I'm not even kidding. And some people might get writer's block, and I'm not picking on anybody. Here's my solution. I leave. I go out for a walk. I'll go for a ride. I'll go shopping at Home Depot or something, and I'll sit there on a bench like today at Sam's Club, and I'll start typing stuff that just comes to me that will not come to me when I'm sitting in front of a computer and a keyboard. I'm telling you straight up. I get more ideas away from wherever I am than I ever am sitting at ground zero in front of a computer. And what I do is I start typing all this stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. You save them. It has a tendency to occasionally delete them, which I'm very careful. I've never completely deleted them completely, but once I'm done, I send that to my email, like when I'm very close to home. And then the first thing I do is get that email, I copy it and I put it into a .rtf file and I reread it, or I might even save it for later. And I'm telling you, I get so much written content like that. It is unbelievable. I get the vast majority of my content is from this notes, if you want to even call it in that. That's all I use.
So if you own the rights to the, I imagine that's the notes on the Macs or whatnot. So if you own the rights to the notes that Apple has, what would be one thing you would do to make that app better, Matt?
That's a good question. Like I said, it, I'm looking at it right now in my left hand, and for some reason, when I'm very careful, when I press the arrow on the top left, and you have three things. It says Folders, iCloud, and Notes, 367, and I'll put it in my little holster on the right, and every once in a while, a a file will be dispersed to the uh, deleted folder file. I'm like, how the hell is that? It happens way, 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 way too often. It's a magnificent, ultra simple app, if you want to even call it that. But the only thing I would change is to be able to lock it in place. If there's a way to lock it, I'm unaware of it. I never claim to be no genius or anything, but if I could lock it to where it doesn't get in that ugh, irritable position where it occasionally puts it into the trash folder. I'm like, my God, that's actually terrifying. I'm so glad I'm so vigilant with my notes. They're like gold. And the good news is I update these, and even though I keep all of them, I've sent a tremendous amount of them to my email box so that, like I said, once I come home, I get them. I mean, that's priority number one. It comes over eating, everything. I mean, this is like I could get so much more if I didn't have this, if this didn't exist, if I didn't have a phone with me, I wouldn't be able to create all the writing content. And again, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that will agree with me that the most ideas that you get and the most free flowing ideas that you get come when you're not in front. I think your mind is kind of naturally rebellious and kind of just a fear of failure. And when you're away from it, there is none of that. And you just kind of let it rip. And then of course you look it over, make sure it's good. You weed out all the BS, and you could have a very large amount of writing done in between 2 and 3 hours away from the home. Seriously. So that's an excellent question. Um, I'd love for people do that. I mean, like I said, it's just notes on the Apple phone. And I'm sure there's something else on Android phones where it automatically saves it. I think the only thing you need to do is actually hit, uh, whatever. Hold on one second. Done in the upper right hand corner, which I just did. And I just wrote down, yesterday I wrote down 40 soldier names in minutes that just flowed. So it's a wonderful little app, if you will, to answer your question. Notes.
Yeah, so we try to make a green podcast around here, Matt. So if anybody from Apple is ever listening, anybody who has anything to do with development or updates for that app, you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. What Matt would do to make the Notes app a better app. But now we don't want to keep you all night. We know it's getting kind of late where you are, and we got other interviews going on and stuff. But we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us tonight. Minus coming there to your hometown to stalk you and find out what you got going on with the new adventures you're making and whatnot. How would people go ahead and stay up to date with Dark by Design?
That's another, like I said, I wish I was 2 or 3 people, but then I'd have to split more money with those 2 or 3 people. Horrible joke. But it's a very excellent and fair question. I'm going to be straight up. I have probably the only blank Facebook business page in history. There's absolutely no content because I just haven't gotten around to it because I'm so committed to actually getting this true, awesome, at least in my eyes, content out to the best of my ability. And then to be honest, envisioning perhaps somebody helping me out with it. It's not that I can't do it. It's very easy to do. But it is on the bottom of my list of priorities. And again, my home site, it got incomplete, and I know there are people that are seeing it. I'm also blessed that people will overlook that and go, well, just look at his stuff, his work, not the darn site or his Facebook page. But I would say the best thing to do, and I'm just being 100% honest, it's not even a sales pitch, is to go to the actual Kickstarter project, which is Dark Fantasy Collected, and just either follow me or watch in silence or make a $1 bid, and perhaps upgrade to something else. Or you could visit my Facebook page, which I've put on there. Those are probably the 2 best things. But the best way for me is a lot of the Facebook stuff that I post are not even personal beliefs, but just kind of personal things and not necessarily all business related. So I would definitely say any of the Kickstarter projects that I have, definitely go check them out and see if you like anything. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. We can exchange emails or whatever. That's the best way.
Okay, and we'll leave a link to the show notes, like we said, about in the Kickstarter page. But yeah, once again, we want to thank you so much for coming on, Getting Geeky with Game Relief, especially to take time out that you could be writing and getting the rest of this finished.
Well, thank you, Blake. I appreciate it like you wouldn't believe, man. You've been very, very awesome and patient with me. And again, the problems I had getting this software down is not your fault at all. The computer's a little bit older than I thought.
Oh boy, yeah, you're good. Yeah, no problem at all. We really appreciate it.
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
You heard her right, ladies and gents. Kickstarter Corner coming to you right now. I hope nobody burned their faces off during the 4th of July. Hopefully you had a good celebration and were safe. Anyways, what games are on Kickstarter since we last spoke? Well, some of them you may have seen, some of them we may have talked to, some of them may be new to you. Have you seen this one? Out of Sorts, a game for creative kids of all ages? Well, I have. In fact, me and my family, we got a prototype, or actually it looks like the finished thing, but it's probably a prototype, and it is awesome. I played this with both Little Game Relief, I guess that's what she's going by now, as well as Princess Leaf. I ended up losing, but we played one of the games of Out of Sorts. It's a pretty cool game, and it is so handcrafted and awesome. You should check out the page. I love the wood tiles. We got a box, and wow, it's awesome. Oh, I guess there we go. Okay, so we got the robot edition. It looks like there might be 2 different editions, animals and robots. We just got robots. So now I have a guide to look at so we can tell if we were playing correctly. Oh, we weren't. Okay, so yeah, so now we know which ones go with which. So we have a guide to guide us in playing next time. So maybe I won't lose so bad. So there you have it. The animal one looks cool too, but we just got the robot one. But either way, this is an awesome game. We'll be doing a review soon, as well as sitting down with the creator to have a lovely chat, and you'll be able to find that. You better hurry and get in on this one, though. You and your kids will love it. I know we did, especially for the younger kids that played it with Little Game Relief, who's 4.5 right now, will be 5 later on this year. But anyway, you better hurry and get in on this, as it's ending in 2 weeks. It goes through Thursday, the 19th of July. So definitely check that one out on the Kickstarters currently. And then what do we have next? We have Kingdoms of Erden, King of the Mountain Dwarven expansion. This is from Tim, and we have him on the podcast coming up in one of the next couple days. In this game, you collect faction members and dominate the mountains in this fantasy set collection strategy card game. For ages 10 plus and 2 to 5 players, lasts about 15 to 45 minutes. They are funded, and they're going for a little bit longer, going through the 3rd of August. Definitely check this one out. It looks really cool, and like I said, I got to sit down and talk with Tim all about it. Just scroll through the page, you'll see all the cards, you're collecting the factions. It sounds like an awesome game. Had some of my favorite reviewers that reviewed it, and you'll find out all about that on the Kickstarter creation episode that we do with Tim in a couple days or soon. And next, another one we'll be reviewing, as well as having the creator on the show. Wow, we're going crazy, aren't we? Is Crown of Aragon. It's a 2-player card game of political, military, and economic area control that can be played in 15 minutes. Probably see this review as well as the interview drop in the next couple days, but this one, it's going through, the 27th of July, so we'll let you know what we think about the game after we play it. It's sitting on my shelf waiting to be played, but it looks awesome, and I can't wait to get to it and show you the interview. I also love the shirts that he included that you can back it. So there's one, it's going back, he said when we talked, it sounds like it's something from the 80s humor, but I really love it. It's a shirt that says, I backed Crown of Aragon on Kickstarter, and I only got this lousy shirt, but he had to make ones for people who wanted the shirt and the game. So it says I backed Crown of Aragon on Kickstarter, and I also got this lousy shirt. So there's those options as well. And we talk all about that in our interview. Next, you probably heard our interview earlier yesterday. If you didn't, you can go back and listen. But Vikingjarl, not with a without a J, Vikingjarl, yeah, there you go, Vikingjarl, the board game. It's an exciting strategic board game about Vikings, Norse mythology, warfare, trade, and building settlements, made by Norwegian Vikings. So I actually had a Norwegian Viking on the show. That was exciting. And this one, I'm hoping they reach their goal. They're almost halfway there. They're going for almost 2 more weeks. Well, a little bit over 2 more weeks, ending on Friday the 20th of July. So you definitely want to check this one out. There's also a giveaway from a particular content creator. Let me see if I can find out who's doing the giveaway, and I'll tell you, and we'll leave the link on the show notes underneath the Kickstarter preview. But this is coming from Board Game Stories. There's 12 days left to enter this giveaway over at the Gleam, so definitely check that one out. It looks pretty cool. And then let's see, what else do I got here. We've got Lunar 5000. You may have heard us talk about it on Family Fun Day Friday, but we played it and it was pretty fun. It's a board game where players build and race in personalized spaceships. When the dice hit the table, will you be in the winner's circle? So yeah, you're going to build your spaceship and race it around space. It was really fun. I ended up losing that, as well as I lost the out of sorts to my girls. So yeah, that was a little frustrating. Not really though. I love playing with them. And next we've got Dragonscales Fantasy RPG by James M. Ward and Stephen A. Lee. It's a new fantasy RPG based on James M. Ward's card system, so leave the dice at home like I say, and explore the Chromatic Kingdoms and the City of Concord, and also the Great Rift. They've reached their goal, and they're going to end this upcoming Monday, the 9th of July. So if you want to get in on that, you better hurry. And I apologize if you're hearing fireworks in the background. It is the 4th of July. By the way, happy late 4th of July once again. Next, are you celebrating con season this year? Are you anywhere near Atlantic City, New Jersey? If you are, and even if you aren't, I recommend checking out bringing HLG Con to the next level. If you aren't, and you need to get some advertisements done, you can go ahead and they have some great offers and advertisement. I had Josh on the show the other day, and you can go back and listen to that episode. But yeah, if you're going to be near Atlantic City the 12th through the 14th of October, definitely check out this one, as they're going to have a con in one of the cool hotels around there. It's called the Showboat. So definitely, if you're going to be in Atlantic City, go ahead and check this one out. Even if you're not going to be there, you might as well check it out. Do you like card games? Do you like to play them on a cloth mat? Well, we've got just the thing for you. It's Arsenal Transforming Deck Box plus Cloth Mat. It's a deck box with room for at least 130 double-sleeved Magic cards, dice, and even a cloth mat. And even just watching the GIF fold up, it looks really cool. Like it folds up into a box, and it's awesome. I really liked it. We had the creator of this on the show the other day, so definitely go check this one out. It's going through the 18th of August, so you've got time, but we got to get back in it so it can become a reality. And then next we've got, last but not least, I believe, is the complete McKeag. I'll find out exactly how to say that, because I'm going to have the creator on the show. But it's the complete MCCAIGUE Creature Compendium, Volume 1. Do you need a new original creatures? Yeah, do you need new original creatures for your tabletop role-playing games? Check out this new Creature Compendium, Volume 1. It's awesome, and they're, over halfway to their goal, and they're going for another 30 days. You got till the 4th of August. So you might want to check this one out. It looks really cool. They got a bunch of cool animals. The one I like when I look at the page is a wolf eel. So like an eel mixed with a wolf. They got like monster mash. So yeah, that looks really cool. And like I said, we're going to have the creator of this great project on the show coming up here in the near future, probably next week. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, this looks really cool. But anyways, I think that's all she wrote. Well, besides our giveaway. Don't forget to check out our giveaway. I'll leave a link in the show notes, and you can go ahead and click current giveaways on our website, gamerleafgo.com. And if you don't have the $140 to spend on Gloomhaven and you want to get that huge game, make sure you check out the giveaway. We've partnered with TLDR Game Series, TLDR Game Series, who streams that once a week during the summer on Tuesdays, I believe, as well as Unfiltered Gamer, as well as the Giveaway Geek. And we're going to bring that game to one lucky listener or winner. So make sure you check out the giveaway. And anyways, it's time for us to get on with our lives, you to get on with your lives. So in the meantime, why don't you go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others in the Geekfold. And we'll catch y'all on the, you guessed it, flip side. Gamerleaf out.
Gamerleaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamerleaf's luck holds up.